Well, welcome to USustain's first official podcast. We haven't really decided on a pod name yet. We're somewhere in between USustain, pod,
UPod,
me
pod,
UPod,
we all pod
together.
Why another podcast?
Why another podcast? Well, we hired a white guy, so we needed a podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's true. All white men need a podcast.
We're doing it for you. Well, anyways, we clearly don't know what we're doing because we're recording this for the second time. But it's a learning journey, and I think we're gonna do so much better this time around.
I was just told to show up. I have no idea what this is going to be.
I think you're doing so well.
Thank you.
Doing great.
Yeah. Speaking of, who are you?
Well, who am I? My name is Fanny, and I work in USustain with all of these lovely people that sit around me that you can't see, but I can. So I'll let them also introduce themselves.
My name is Patricio. I'm the recent hire.
Yes.
I am the technical person that also do a lot of other things. It's been great so far. I am also not an ESG or sustainability expert, but it's a learning curve.
Learning curve. You're here as the common man.
Exactly.
Yes, who can ask all the questions that people wonder.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and also get us on track when we're going off track.
Definitely.
Which is a very important task to have. I'm Mia. My name is Mia. I usually make short form content, and there I can stop myself after really short stretches of talking. So this is entirely new to me. Also work in USustain, and I do all the things that Fanny doesn't want to do, and I don't want to do any of her things. And then Patricia has come in as our new favorite potato, who's a bit, also all over the place. We're just a bunch of potatoes, really.
Do you mind sharing with the audience what the company does?
That's a really good question. Probably do that. So USustain is a ESG and sustainability consultancy. So what we do is that we help companies with their ESG reporting, so their environmental, social, and governance reporting, which is kind of like the flip side of financial reporting, where we report on everything else that determines a company's value, because that is beyond just monetary. So we help companies on one side and work a lot B2B, and then we also work with students, essentially. Well, students of USustain Academy, that is our online platform where we do courses and teach people the hard skills of sustainability and ESG, because it is a very tangible skill set that you can actually develop. And
And we like to think that we know stuff.
Yes,
so,
you do.
So we've been working in the field of sustainability quite a few years now in between us, and also have education within the field. So we were sort of in the starting batch of when sustainability was even a thing to do at uni, which previously wasn't. So we've been doing this for quite a few years, and we chat about this a lot. Like, we make social content, we have courses online, like Mia said, and now we're here sat in a podcast.
we're podding.
Yes, so we want to share some of all of this information that we have, but not necessarily share in a common way, I guess.
Yeah.
So we speak a lot to private listed companies and corporate companies and stuff like that, and this is kind of information that we think maybe somebody else wants to listen to. Yeah, so that's what we're going to try and do, and really start this podcast off by going into 2026, what's been happening in the world of ESG this year.
Yeah.
Because a lot of stuff has been happening, especially since 2025, Trump coming into office. There's a lot of things happening. There's been directives coming in and going, and handbrakes going up and down, and a lot of legislation that we don't really know where it is at the moment. This is talking about legislation that is for private companies who need to report within the EU, and then essentially also spreading out indirectly across the globe. So Mia, tell me about what this is.
What this is. So I think what you are referring to is maybe like the omnibus and CSRD and this whole shebang.
All of the lovely abbreviations.
The lovely abbreviations. So essentially what happened back in, I think this started in 2021. ish, when the EU really started ramping up their kind of like legislative sustainability efforts, because they had the EU Green Deal that was signed back in 2016, I believe, and then it kind of went quiet for a bit. And then, you know, like a bunch of people in suits essentially met up, shook hands, and they're like, we're going to save Europe, and we're going to become green, and we're going to be the, you know, the lighthouse of the world in terms of green industry and everything.
And they really went all in,
They went
didn't
all
they?
in.
They went all in. They were going to
Oh, yeah.
implement all of the laws, and they were going to do
Yeah.
it all at once.
Yes, but it kind of went quiet for a while because, you know, they shook hands and then we're like, cool. And then 2021 rolled around, and then suddenly there's like a tsunami of regulations were coming. And it was seriously like every week. It was like, okay, we have the CSRD, we have the CSDDD, we have the EU taxonomy, we have ESPR. We have like, there were so many like alphabet soup abbreviations that were just coming out of the EU. And what that essentially meant is that, you know, there was a lot of new regulation hitting companies. And out of that, I would say like the three kind of like key most important ones that have gotten kind of like the most coverage is, so CSRD, this Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, the EU Taxonomy, and the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive. So that's kind of like the holy trinity of EU directives that was kind of hitting companies, well, was going to hit companies.
And this was 2021.
Yeah, I would say that's when they kind of started rolling it out. That's kind of like when we started hearing from EFRAG, the organization that's in charge of making these directives.
Okay.
And yeah, that's kind of like when we started hearing from them, and it was kind of like ramping up. The companies were preparing. They had, you know, they hired people, they hired consultants, they bought really, you know, expensive software to get their ESG data in order, because it was so much, especially CSRD, Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive. I believe it was like 1,500 reporting points
Oh,
or
wow.
something in the first
That's a lot.
round. That's a lot, yes. So they were really, really preparing. But then kind of, you know, with everything happening in, I think it's fair to say that the US kind of had a bit of an impact on the rest of the world when it comes to sustainability standing.
You could say so, because of course our lovely Mr. Trump came into office, and what he did essentially was withdraw them from everything. Everything that had to do with sustainability, he just put a black line across it and he crossed it out from
Drill,
everything.
baby, drill.
Yes, and it was a full baby drill, baby drill, drill, drill.
Yeah.
And so what they did was open up a lot for oil production. And
Okay.
what they also did was that where previously companies had to do reporting in the States, or actually starting to implement some of the stuff that was already happening in the EU in terms of, you know, reporting standards, and they were stopping that. So previously they had to pay taxes, they weren't allowed to do stuff, and then they just scrapped all that. So now we're all sat in the EU. They're implementing loads of new directives, and these directives that Mia are talking about is essentially you need to be transparent about your carbon emissions, about your social affairs and stuff like this. So you need to be really transparent, and also you need to commit to actually reducing all of these emissions. And like Mia said, people hired in really big teams in order to handle all of this. And it wasn't just about the reporting, it was actually, we need to do something about this as well.
Okay.
So we need to talk about like future strategic plans on how we're going to reduce our emissions. And of course, this costs a lot of money. So here we're sat in the EU trying to sort of figure this all out as a company, like not us specifically, but I'm just talking about us all in general. And there we are looking across the pond to the States who's going all drill, baby, drill. And of course, that's not fair, is it? Because we're spending all of this money and they are just gaining all of this money, just continuing the way they were, or even worse.
Do you want a really non-fun fun fact?
Yeah.
Go.
Yes. So you remember that in his first term, Trump rolled back 100 environmental regulations,
Yeah.
approximately 100. How many do you think he has so far in his second term?
Oh, I don't even want to guess.
400.
More.
600.
A bit less. Is 530.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, he's efficient.
Let's say sustainability is not a priority this time around.
No.
No.
I think nay. There, but I think that's kind of also interesting in the way that, yeah, we're seeing what's happening across the pond, and I think 2025 was really a reflection of that, with, you know, the omnibus coming in, which is, you know, the kind of simplification of all the directives and kind of pulling the handbrake, And, with a lot of wars going on and everything, and the kind of sentiment from the EU became that, like, we need to stay competitive, essentially. But I think what is interesting looking at is that first it's kind of like, oh, the US is doing this. But in 2026, I feel like the European Union has kind of come a bit together and be like, but so what? Kind of. Because, like, yeah, they're the, legally mandated reporting and all of that. But I think that companies, or at least like companies who are planning to exist in the future and all that, are seeing that we actually need to do not just sustainability reporting, because, sustainability reporting is a lot more than the reporting. It's more about the sustainability. Really, you're reporting on what the companies are doing, and they're seeing that we can't really continue business as usual as we have in order to stay competitive.
What I also think in terms of competitiveness, as you say it, is because I think a lot of companies have also realized that it's not just about the legislative part, and of course they want to comply because they can face a fine. But in the meantime, as the omnibus handbrake has been pulled up and all companies have been a lot in confusion because they don't know what to do, the European Central Bank has come in. Well, they haven't really come in. They've been there all along, but I think people have finally started to realize that they are also pulling some strings here. So the European Central Bank is essentially the governing body of all banks operating in Europe, either you're in the EU or not. So that also Norway falls in under this. And they set sort of standards for banks all across Europe, saying that if you're going to make a loan to a company, then they are required to show certain evidence of GHG accounting. Like, are they doing some sort of reporting? Do they have a target? Are they in line with their target and stuff like that? And then the company needs to report that to the bank, who needs to report it back to the European Central Bank, because they have sort of a set way of, like, they have this really big money bag and they say, we want to give all this money to the companies who's doing really well as part of like a green bond or a green loan or something like that. And I think companies, of course, they see the money in this. So one thing is the stick in the European Commission and the CSRD saying that, oh, if you don't comply, you will get a 4% fine and whatnot. But then on the other side, you see the financial, sort of the bank situation where, oh, but we can give you money if you do this. So one thing is, yeah, you save the money, but you also gain it directly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've never thought I would say this, but I really love the European Central Bank. But like, I feel like they're one of the entities that kind of just like held firm, being like, no, we need to do this. And they've kind of been, it's been really chaotic in the industry, but I feel like the European Central Bank has really kind of like, no, we need to do this. Like, we're not gonna like kind of let up on any requirements that we have, which is kind of where we see, like, sure, it might, like, requirements for companies might not come from where we thought it would come from, but it will definitely come in the form of needing to appease financial entities, essentially.
And also, what's the really good thing now is that, of course, with the new ESRS that was just dropped this summer, which is a simplification of the previous one, it's really much aligned with what the banks want, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So they don't need to do separate types of reporting. It's just the same information going to two different entities. So one is sent to one and one is sent to the other, but the information is essentially all the same, which is great. Because what do banks care about, Mia?
Money.
And?
And mitigating risk.
Yes.
They're in the business of mitigating risk.
They are definitely in the way of mitigating risks.
Yeah.
And they always have been. It's just that they've started to realize that financial and climate risk are really closely aligned.
Yeah.
So climate risk has a really massive sort of, it's, well, how do I even say this? So, of course, climate creates destruction in a way of storms and stuff like that. We have really massive droughts. We talked about, the temperatures are rising in the world. And of course, we see that in terms of natural climate disasters happening. So these are things that the companies can't really sort of forecast directly. But through science, we are seeing that, okay, we predict in 10 years that something will happen. And then the companies now need to actually sit down, look at the financial numbers, look at their operations, their entire value chain, and they need to say, what are the financial risks if there is a drought in 10 years? And I am a salmon farmer and I need soy for my fish. And if there's not any soy, that's a massive potential financial risk. And the bank wants to know about this, because why would they lend you money if you're going to lose it all by a drought that you didn't foresee?
Exactly. I was going to give you an exercise that was to do a case on a salmon farm.
Very on point.
Yeah, very on point. No, but it's like we see it all the time, right? Like companies who haven't looked at this before. And it's just like they come into sustainability reporting with a mindset. I was like, oh, this is kind of like a nice marketing thing, essentially, to be able to put a stamp on something and say that, hey, look, we care. And then we actually start doing the work. And they're like, oh, God. There's actually like big opportunities and also really big pitfalls in terms of risks that they maybe hadn't thought about before.
But do you know what are the financial repercussions if they don't give out those reports? Like, is it a lot of money if they get fined?
Yeah.
It's like, is the ROI
I believe
like worth it to pay and do this reports? Like, you know, like, is it worth it basically?
I believe that the financial financial penalty for CSRD is still the same as it was pre-omnibus. And that is if you do not respond or you don't comply with CSRD if you're supposed to, that is 4% of your annual net turnover as a company.
4%?
Yes.
Okay.
Of annual net turnover.
Right.
So that is expensive.
It is expensive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have to comply, please comply, because in terms of financial risks go, that's what we call a transitional legislative risk.
To say the least, we've never heard of a company who is thinking about not complying and just taking the fine because it's just so massive. Like it's not even in discussion at this point. They're just like, we need to comply. And the problem is rather, how can we get there as efficiently as possible?
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
What else has happened this 2026, Mia?
What else has happened? Well, I feel like I hate being a podcast talking about AI.
I think in 2026 everyone's talking about AI.
Yeah.
So
I'm personally a bit over AI because I'm a millennial trapped in a boomer's body.
I get it.
Yeah. No, the other way around. I'm a boomer trapped in a millennial's body. Woo! 2026 has been rough. What was I saying? Yeah, no, personally, I am kind of sick of all these like AI stickers being slapped on absolutely everything.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like people only have the capacity to keep one buzzword in their head at the same time. So sustainability was like a really big thing a few years back, and that was, all companies wanted to be green and sustainable and earth friendly and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But now everyone has a goddamn AI chatbot or AI feature or there's something.ai. And
let's not even start talking about doing, but I don't need to do my carbon accounting because AI will just sort it out for me.
Is that viable?
No. I've been trying to use AI for like some of the work we do. No, it doesn't work.
The AI is very much talking about the reporting directive. It's really stuck back in 2021, isn't it? So you can ask AI about the updated ESRS and it will give you the old one because even that one doesn't have any idea what's happening in the EU Commission.
Yeah.
It's so much back and forth that the AI isn't really able to.
Do you know how many liters of water I have spent yelling at AIs for not being up to date on information about ESG?
Do tell.
A lot. Lots.
I
haven't quite done the calculation, but for the most part, it'll be like, what's in this? Even if it's like a GRI disclosure, like Global Reporting Initiative, been around since 1994, like that's established. And it's like, what is the information in GRI 305, for example? It's like, it's about biodiversity. And they're like, no, it's not. It's clearly not. This information has been online for years. Well, to be fair, the newest standard is from 2021, but.
And the problem is not just that the AI doesn't really necessarily understand the legislation of sustainability. The problem is that nobody cares anymore.
Yeah,
like
I think
said,
that is a problem.
Yeah, so previously there were so many teams. You see, if you went on a job search, everyone wanted to be a sustainability.
Yeah.
Yes. If it was a consultant or an in-house or like part of a team or a sustainability controller, ESG, like all of these words, it was buzzing. We even saw the universities, the amount of master's degrees and bachelor's degrees, and everyone has a yada yada something sustainability. It's like business and sustainability, administration and sustainability, it's marketing and fucking sustainability. Like they smash it in everywhere. And then when you start talking to these students about like, but what did you actually learn? not that much about sustainability really, but they wanted all of these jobs. And the problem now is that we've sort of mass produced all of these people going into sustainability because they, of course, with the directive forward looking back in 2016, they saw that this massive directive is going to come out. We need people who are experts on this. So of course they wanted as many students as possible to get into this, and they did. And the problem now is that none of them can get a job.
Yeah,
No.
but that's actually on the rise again, which is exciting. I saw some numbers on sustainability jobs because that was, again, 2025, a rough year for sustainability folk. But now actually the numbers are rising again. And that's because companies who, like a lot of companies thought that, the sustainability function could be covered by AI. It turns out, nay.
Maybe the AI bubble is about to burst.
Oh,
I don't
please.
know. Or maybe there's another bubble
I have put
coming
no
that
money
is-
in it, so I'd be very happy to
neither.
see that bubble burst. But I think what is kind of also interesting is because, AI has kind of become the new buzzword. We also see that that's also just a marketing thing, right? Like all of these companies who says that they're AI and like they have to just put AI in their name to get investors to listen to them. That was the same shit that's happened with sustainability. That doesn't mean that sustainability has gone away, but it is kind of changing form. As I like to say, sustainability is getting boring, which is great.
Point on this is relevant, but also absolutely not relevant. Did you see this company that was doing really, really well? It was an Indian company, an AI company, and they sold massively, and it turned out it was 700 Indians.
Oh my God, yes.
700 Indians.
Actually working, but they were more efficient than the AI. Like they were coding and they were doing really, really well, but they weren't AI. They were actual people. Sorry.
Damn.
Please
Wow.
continue.
Yeah, see? It's just a marketing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it's created a lot of jobs, so that's good, I guess.
It's also taken a lot of jobs.
Also taken a lot of jobs, but I think again, it's like a bit of a bubble, right?
Yeah.
Like you've tried to fire people to get AI to do the job, and AI just isn't there yet. And I think what companies have already started to realize that you cannot AI your way to ESG. Because, I mean, as we're seeing with, we're working on CDP right now, it's the Carbon Disclosure Project, which is like an annual investor-led reporting where, you have to do this massive reporting. If you don't do anything, you have nothing to report on. So, the reporting in and of itself, sure, honestly, I'm all on board if AI can take some of the grunt work of that. That's brilliant. But in order to actually have good sustainability reporting, you need to do good sustainability things. And that actually comes largely from the operational side. And that, I think, is kind of like the shift that we'll see, that sustainability goes from this sexy marketing thing to actually becoming really boring, which is really good. It's supposed to essentially be it is financial reporting for non-financials. Essentially, it is just the opposite side of that. So it's not supposed to be flashy. Sure, if you do cool green initiatives and actually, become more sustainable as a company, please shout it from the rooftops.
Yeah.
That's terrific. But doing the shortcut way of, being able to just slap a green sticker on a t-shirt, I think we'll see less of that.
Previously, it's been a lot of these really nice pamphlets that you can flip through, and it has really nice pictures, and it looks really nice. But like you say now, with terms of the financial reporting, essentially what the CSRD is doing is that it is aligning these two things. So sustainability and financial reporting are the same, and actually through reporting to CSRD, this needs to be one large, boring report.
Woo!
And
So we love to
that.
hear.
Yes, we love that. Because what it does is that it makes it sort of as central as you doing your accounting.
Yeah. And we're also seeing that a lot, all the companies that are doing sustainability well are moving the sustainability function from, for example, the marketing department, and they move it into finance, they move it into strategy, and have those people sit together. Essentially, because they're realizing that these things have to work together. This is not just, another marketing thing.
And also a really big thing here, who's not really been as sort of prominent previously, is the way that the board actually needs to be involved in all of this. So previously, it's just been like a fun little ticking box for the board and say, oh, we have talked about ESG once this year. And that's enough, really. It has been enough in order to do, the rating that Mia's talking about, this CDP reporting. You could just tick off a box saying that, oh, once a year our board talks about sustainability. Lovely. But now it actually needs to be integrated. They need to be a part of it. they're the overall responsible for what is going on in the company. Anything from if they want to set a target, how their carbon accounting is doing, what are the risks, like have they checked off on these risks, and what are the mitigation strategies they have against these climate risks in the future. So it's really much also involving them in a way, and you can't really have that in then the marketing department. That would just be weird, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. And I mean, it is like, I think what is interesting about the sustainability function as well is like marketing is marketing. Like then your job is to tell people about what the company does and, you know, make them buy our services or products or whatever. But the sustainability function is so much more than that because it needs to be integrated across the organization. So like you have parts of the sustainability responsibility that kind of, it goes into finance, some goes into strategy, some goes into marketing. For example, you shouldn't be greenwashing because you can also be financially liable for that. So it kind of becomes more of a consolidation role, which I think is interesting. And I think we're seeing more and more of that, which is good.
I think also with this sort of new introduction is the way that, because when we talk to really big companies, of course, they have to report because they're within the scope. Another thing is the really, really small companies or like startups and scale-ups. And what's also really interesting is the way that we hear them wanting to do something. So they don't really necessarily have like all the financials to hire a team to do sustainability work, but they realize that in order to sell their product, not to necessarily an end customer, but to another retailer, or they sell it to another company who use it for manufacturing or whatnot, that company has a really, really maybe ambitious target. And then this really small scale up startup, they need to be able to show the data, like the actual numbers of their product. If they want to go in and say, but, oh, you can lower your emissions by using our product. And then that really big company asks, okay, but by how much? Where's your receipts on this? Where's your data? And they can't just, because previously, you could just, oh, but this is a bamboo sock, so it's super, sustainable. And everyone was like, woo, sharing for that. And that was
bamboo.
Great. Yeah. And then, oh my God, bamboo was everywhere. But anyways, but now you need to actually show the numbers, which is really nice, because it's also incentivizing these small companies from the get-go.
Okay.
And then also that makes them implement these things as part of their strategy from the start, rather than all these really big companies now who need to start backtracking, for years, and then see, because, Mia mentioned this EU taxonomy, it actually requires you to go back in time. It's not just from now and forward. Companies literally need to go 10 years back in the line. It's like, what were we doing? And small companies are sort of seeing this and they think, we don't want to do that. So they are starting already. And I think it's a really nice incentive for them indirectly to also have this from the beginning.
Yeah, that's very true. It's one of our sayings are start before you really, really have to. Because, we've been through quite a few rounds of the whole we need to figure out what our data was 5 years ago. And oof.
It's tough.
It's tough. It's a lot easier to start when you're a smaller company. I'm not saying that if you're a 5-person company, you don't necessarily need to have, a full CSRD ready disclosure. But it's more ESG is so much about just having your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
And actually having a system in terms of just what have we purchased, for example? Do we have a system for our receipts? All of that kind of stuff, and having your ducks in a row from early on. As a startup, we know that is quite important regardless. But that is information that then can be used later when you, for example, either fall under a directive of sorts, or you have a customer that requires you to give data, for example. And when you're smaller, it's so much easier because it's a very limited amount of things that you're doing, and it's a very limited scope.
And usually your value chain is not that big as well, so it's easy to track it.
Exactly. And then it's all about, kind of getting into habits as well, because we have to think about that, this is really just people going to work and having certain responsibilities in a day that they actually need to do. It is a lot easier to take a new hire and say that it's okay, you've come in this company, it's a 7-person company, whatever. It's a part of your job is to every month send in this receipt, for example, for electricity, to this email address.
Okay.
If that from day one is your responsibility, it becomes a part of the habit of the way that you're working, then it's not that hard. If you go to Steve, age 60, who's been working at the same company for 20 years and saying that, hey, Steve, I have this new piece of responsibility for you. You're not going to get a change in title or more salary. You just get more stuff to do. A lot harder to get people on board when suddenly it's like a new responsibility that has been dropped on them rather than having it integrated from early on, where it's just kind of a part of it. Especially because like it doesn't help that you have a like one sustainability person in like a 500 person company, because they don't sit on like all the data that you need. For example, they need to go and talk to the different departments. So you actually need quite a few responsible people throughout. And in large organizations that have never been doing this before, a lot of people tend to not want an extra piece of responsibility. So the sooner you can start, the easier it gets. Because like Steve can definitely learn. I believe in Steve. It's not that. But he will take a little bit of time to get around to it.
Also, Steve has a lot of other things and responsibilities.
Yeah, Steve's a busy man.
He is a really busy man, and he has a lot of stuff to do. And adding more paperwork for him is not essentially popular.
Yeah, I'll be pissed off as well.
Yeah.
I get you, Steve.
Yeah,
Pray for Steve.
Oh.
Yes, we've been yapping for quite some time, I think.
We have, yes.
I think, we done?
Yes, unfortunately, it's all for today.
It's all for today, which I think it's okay. I think for our first pod, I think we podded.
I think we did.
We podded, and I think that was good. So for next time, I figured it could be fun if any one of our probably thousands of listeners, would like to jump onto our Instagram, slide into our DMs with any questions that they might have.
And what is that Instagram account, Mia, called?
It is at usustain_official, usustain_official. Because a Danish man growing peppers took the name Usustain, and he hasn't posted anything since 2016.
Damn.
Yeah, messaged him. He did not want to give it back.
No, he refuses actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if anyone knows, if anyone knows the owner of the account at Usustain, please get in touch. We're willing to give him $5. For the account.
So once more, what's our Instagram account?
It is at usustain_official. So you can just slide into our DMs. Maybe I'll put up a little something on stories, or you can also do it now because we have multiple people
working in marketing.
Yes, very exciting. So I think that is good. And now we're supposed to do the whole. You can find. Wait, no, that's in commercials. We don't have to say that they can find the podcast.
You'll find this podcast wherever you listen to.
But they've already found it.
Well,
it'll be available wherever
you can find
podcast.
all our future podcasts. Because the thing is, we are trying this out, and we really hope that some people will listen to it.
Yeah.
And we will continue yapping in your ears.
Yeah.
And if you have anything particular that you want to talk about, if you have any questions, if you work and need some guidance, we can do some free consulting.
Ooh.
Yeah, we can do that. So drop us a message, and we hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you the next time we come yapping around.
And it'll be even better.
Yes, it will. Thank you for listening. It'll be all for today.
Yes.
Thank you, girls.
All right.
We need a sign-off phrase, I think. We'll workshop it for next time.
We'll see you sustain later.
That's why she's not in marketing.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.